Well, hello everybody. This is Douglas Allen Frazier, cruising down the road again, making a video, just sharing some comments of dealing with where we are in America today. You know, I wrote a recent note to the apostle in my church, our worship center, our outreach center, our training center, Global Spheres Center, Glory of Zion in Corinth, Texas. And in that expression of what I was sharing to him, I said, I believe that God has given me an increase in my voice, in the things that I want to share. Sometimes you've got to be careful with that. And I learned a number of years ago now from an apostle, a prophet that is now passed away, John Paul Jackson. And he said one of the most critical things, if not the most critical thing, is our character. Our character in what we say, how we say it, when we say it. Is it the appropriate time to say it? Does it match what needs to be said? And that has been one thing that I believe God has honored me with, of staying within that understanding of character and not deviating from it, not trying to, I'll say in my case, make myself look better. And certainly I don't want to make myself look worse than what could already be said, perhaps. But I do know this. As a Christian in America today, we have got to get our act together. We've got to look and say that God has given us this nation. This is our nation. And I'll go back. I've been reading a lot recently in the Old Testament. I've been reading most recently in the book of 1 Samuel. And of course, this is the story of Samuel becoming a prophet and how he was raised and how God began to speak to him. And then he goes out into his calling. And one of the things that he did was he anointed the first king for Israel, King Saul. And I would say from my reading of what was recorded in 1 Samuel in those first few chapters, that Samuel had a discussion with God about whether this was going to be such a good thing or not. And God said, go ahead and do it. It's what the people want. They want a king like other nations. And basically he said, I'm going to honor their request, but I want you to tell them of some of the things that they're going to be facing now that they have established a kingdom of their own that I'm going to look over. They're still my people, but they have made this request, and I'm going to honor it. Well, we find very quickly that Saul is anointed. He is set up as the king, and he goes beyond his own, I'll just say, approved protocol that basically Samuel had given him from God. And that's just a paraphrase of some of the things that happened, just to make it quick. But you see, God has always had an interest in the nations, whether it is Israel or the United States or the United Kingdom or any nation of the world, whether they are a Christian nation or not. In essence, there is no really truly Christian nation. There are nations with perhaps a high number of people who proclaim Christ, But as far as being truly a Christian nation, that doesn't really exist. You know, I can recall when I was teaching English in Japan, I was teaching at a Bible seminary in the Tokyo area, and I had a class of Japanese businessmen. They were getting a very good rate for their, I think it was an hour and a half class for learning English, and I was the primary instructor. And it was conversational English, but a portion of the reduced rate was that there would be a 15-minute message, a Bible message, that would be taught by one of the seminary students. And I remember on one particular night, this question came up, dealing with, well, what kind of belief do you have? And it started off this way. Well, America is a Christian nation. We Japanese, that's an expression that is used highly in Japan, we Japanese think that all America is a Christian nation. And I said, no, that's not true. We have a lot of Christians, but I said, just as we listened in this message tonight, it is a free choice. It is a free choice. And we have lots of Christians in America, but you're not born into becoming or being a Christian. This is a free choice you have to make at some time in your life. Even if you're living in a family where your parents are Christians. And so I went around the room and I made this comment. We Americans think that you Japanese are either Buddhist or Shinto. And so I asked each one of my class members, and I think I had around 15, I said, what are you? And this was the basic answer that came out. I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I might go to a Shinto shrine for certain holidays or to a Buddhist temple for some other days. But basically, I'm nothing. I don't have any relationship with any God. And so that's my life. I'm born and I die. And of course, Japan is a democracy today, but for the long period of time of its history, it was under an emperor. They still have an emperor today, which is quite interesting. It's Diane and I, we celebrate our wedding anniversary the same day of the year as the current emperor of Japan. But anyway, that's a side note. But the point I want to get into is how involved should the church be, how should Christians be involved in the government and the governance of this nation, of any nation? I would say, in my personal observations, the church in America has done a terrible job of informing its people of who they need to consider, who they need to vote for, instead of just going, well, pray about it and go vote. You know, you pastors that might be listening to this, you didn't become a pastor just to preach the gospel. That's an important portion of what you do. But you came in to transform people's lives, to make disciples of the nation, to train your people to be able to go out and minister to other people. But that also means that you have intelligence, you have understanding of current events. And you should have an awareness of what is going on that is going to affect the lives of all the people within your congregation, because all of the congregations combined have a very important effect on the totality of how our nation moves forward and is governed. So you've got to be able to step up and inform your people correctly with due diligence. And I'm going to break it down this way. I have not heard this from the person himself, but I received this from a message from a friend of mine who did observe this on TV. One of the members of the committee of 40 or 45 that was established to work with Donald Trump basically said, I can't endorse him, but yet I'm serving on the committee. And I'm going, then why in the world would you serve on the committee if you cannot endorse the person for the committee that you're serving on? I mean, that's absolutely ignorance, and really it's deception in my mind. Why would you say, yes, I'll serve on this committee, but yet I will not endorse this individual? That's ridiculous. And this man is he's a well-known world Christian leader with a very, big TV program and TV audience. He can have a great influence on moving this nation forward. Well, let me look at this way. We've had several reports that have come out in the last few days, rulings, etc. We've seen the Supreme Court last week. Now, this week, we see the final report of the Benghazi Committee. We see the final report of the Benghazi Committee. And yet, here we go with some of the headlines that come out. He said, well, no new information was exposed about Hillary Clinton's involvement. Again, I'll say no new information. That means that all the information that was there was correct or didn't need to be changed. They have increased some of their knowledge of some of the other events, but it changed nothing with the involvement of Hillary Clinton and her allowing these 4 Americans to die in Benghazi. All of the information that still exists and did not change was the fact that there were over 600 requests for increased security during the time that she was the Secretary of State, the highest member in the cabinet that oversees our overseas embassies and the people there. And yet in those 600 requests for increased security, it never took place. Another fact that did not change were some of her emails, which have been found, and many have not, that indicated that she sent emails to her own daughter and at least 3 other foreign government officials that said the attack on Benghazi was by terrorist group. Now, some people are hedging, well, which terrorist group was it? Was it this one or that one? It doesn't make any difference which one it was. The fact is that it was a terrorist group. And yet, she was a part of the campaign that said, no, this came from a video. Some guy made a video that was anti-Muhammad, and it caused a spontaneous result. And yet there are also in this report indicating that she sat and saw live video of what was taking place and never requested that we send our military in to help these people. there's indications that it was total confusion and deception within the Obama administration. These are the facts that have come out. And I would ask you, I'm talking about political things. I'm talking about voting for a candidate. This candidate, Hillary Clinton, in the 2012 election, when she was debating with President Obama, said, you know, he's not ready for that 3 a.m. call when something could go down and you've got to be ready to respond. Well, guess what? She had her opportunity. She had her opportunity. President Obama had his opportunity simultaneously, and neither one came through. Neither one came through. There's a movie out called 13 Hours that was put together by CIA people that so happened to be in Benghazi. And even though they risked their own careers to go and help, it was too late. It was too late. I have not seen the movie yet. It's based upon a book that they wrote from their personal experience of being there and seeing what's happened. So what I'm saying to you, America, look, learn, and listen to what is really happening. Do you want a person that has a known record? A known record. I'm saying she has a known record. But what is that record? It is chaos. It is deception. And that is the totality of her record in all of her life, as far as her political life and her support life, even to her own husband, Bill Clinton, who has his own baggage to carry. So what I'm saying is, you pastors that might be listening to this, do your job of informing the people of your congregation of the facts of what are there. If we are going to see a transformation, a reformation, an awakening in this nation, we have got to have pastors and other Christian leaders that will step up and tell the truth and not back down from the truth. It's time that we move. We want to see an awakening. We want to see a revival. We want to see repentance in this nation for how we have messed up. That's an easy way of putting it. But in order to do that, we as individual Christians and anybody that's in a Christian role of leadership within a congregation needs to be involved in the governments of this nation. We are the ecclesia of God. We are His governmental voice in the land. It's not that we need to stay out of politics. We need to be so involved in politics of electing the right people, knowing their hearts, knowing their direction, and to the best of our abilities, supporting them in prayer, lifting them up, and making sure that the truth is known in all sections. So I'm thanking you for listening to this message. It's about 20 minutes long, and may God bless you as you search your heart, as you ask God to show you what kind of a voice you're going to have, how you're going to use it to change this nation. Because if we don't make the right choice now, we are going to see us as a nation and as a church recognized throughout the world that is dropping what should be done to raise up a nation to serve God. God bless you all. This is Douglas Allen Frazier with another special report, a traveling report of By My Spirit.